Good afternoon, good morning, or good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to Chatham House, London. My name is Larissa Lutsevich, and I am the head of Ukraine Forum here. Thank you very much for taking time to tune in into what is an emergency webinar that we are convening today, looking at Russia's attacks on Ukraine's energy system and what are the consequences of those attacks and what should, most importantly, Ukraine's allies in Europe and around the world do and respond. I have an excellent panel today of professionals from all walks of life, from state-owned companies, from private companies, from independent think tanks, and representing private sector and civil society and philanthropy to look at this problem from different dimensions. Just to set it in context, first of all, our discussion is on the record, and we will be also recording it and sharing on our website. So do also circulate it if you find it valuable. It is 1443rd day of horrendous total war, unprovoked aggression of Russia, full-scale war against Ukraine. And of course, we will be focusing today on energy grid, which is a lifeline of any modern society and economy. But just for people to understand that the vicious fighting also goes on the front line. We have more than 100 combat clashes with Russian army trying to push hard along the very long front line, but also relentlessly attacking Ukrainian villages and cities. Just in one day, you will have nearly 4,000 of these shellings where civilians are targeted and their lives are destroyed. So it is this cumulative pressure that Russia is trying to exert both on the front line and on the home front in order to make Ukraine surrender, to capitulate to its requirements. And these negotiations that many of us are following that are taking place in Riyadh are just the background to use that pressure on the front line at the negotiating table, and actually very dangerous moment for both Ukrainian armed forces and civilians when Russia says it negotiates. So I would like to immediately, because we have a short time and very busy schedule, to start bringing our panel. And I would like to apologize from the very beginning that some people may have to leave earlier, some people will join us a bit later. But with me on the panel, I have Oleksiy Ryabchin already, who represents Ukraine's state-owned company Naftogaz. He is the Chief International and Sustainability Officer at Naftogaz, with more than 20 years of experience across policy, politics, and business development. He's joined also by Olena Pavlenko, who is the founder and president of Dixie Group. It's an independent energy think tank. She dedicated quite a lot of her professional life on promoting the future of Ukrainian energy, but also transparency of extractive industries. We also have a representative of Ukrainian business, creative, and civil society class, Gary Horogorodsky. He is actually tuning in all the way from Dnipro, where he is touring, meeting people. His foundation, Love Life, is working with civilians and especially with vulnerable groups, elderly, to help people in highly populated high-rise areas. He's also trying to resettle families who lost their housing in Kyiv region by providing them houses where they 3 generations of them can live and survive. But he is also a very well-known entrepreneur in Kyiv and a cultural figure. So let's start with Oleksiy. Oleksiy, you represent the largest company, as you've just told me, in Ukraine. 100,000 people are working for Naftogaz. Perhaps people don't understand the scale. How is your company, which such a critical actor, responding to this enormous damage of energy supply? And what is effective today? What can be done today? And then maybe later on we can discuss how to prepare for the future. But tell us what's the situation and what help is needed. Over to you, Oleksiy.
Yeah, thank you, Risha, dear colleagues, dear listeners. Thank for Chatham House for the invitation to speak today. This is really important to speak loud about everything that is happening in Ukraine. Big regards from our CEO Sergei Koretsky, who is now at the meeting with the president, the prime minister, with the prime minister of Poland, Tusk, discussing lots of issues. So this is why I'm substituting him. I do hope that he might tune in every single second. Nevertheless, all of these supports means a lot for us. This is really not just like a proper words, like this is really important, and without the support of our allies at the level, we will be able to to be engaged in this conversation. You told Larissa who we are. Yeah, indeed, like we are the biggest company in Ukraine, 100,000 employees, 2.5% of GDP, 7% of tax revenue. So upstream, downstream, midstream, a lot of the segment that we are doing. And last year was the most crucial and critical year for Naftogaz Group. We see that Katerina Maternova, our beloved ambassador of EU, joined us. Katka, you're the next one. Yes, and unfortunately, last year we faced more attacks on Naftogaz infrastructure than 3 previous years combined. In October alone, Russian attacks destroyed more than 60% of our capacities to extract gas. They also attacked gas storages. And 2026 become even more challenges because in January alone, we already had like 16 strike on our gas, oil, and generation infrastructure, and the enemy attacks regardless of geography. Both facilities in west of Ukraine, in east of Ukraine are being targeted, but nevertheless, Naftogaz supply gas to 12 million Ukrainian families, so basically to almost all of the population. And we are now approaching the final and the most difficult time of the year. So like now, like in Kiev, in a lot of region with minus 15, minus 20 degrees, and while we're already preparing for the next heating season. But not only tell about the problem, but like we need to speak about some issues that we faced in reality. We had a corruption scandal in Ukrainian energy, which also affect, and we need to speak about this. But for us, in Naftogaz, corporate governance and anti-corruption reform means a lot, and this is foundational, and they drive a lot of the element of our energy resilience. And like with the OECD aligned Western standard corporate governance with the supervisory board that now after the end of its term will be soon implemented. I do hope Katerina Maternova also will tell about this because EU drives a lot of these processes for us. And this, like governance, transparency, anti-corruption means that Naftogaz is a reliable commercial partner that meets Western standards. And every pound, euro, and dollar invested in Ukraine's energy transaction today is investment in also European energy sovereignty tomorrow. And despite of the war, we have enormous potential that we are proposing, and we had a lot of the B2B meetings in Davos, and we are going to have them further in different platforms. We have the biggest storage in Europe, 31 BCM, and this storage is a key also to European security, especially during these hard times. We do hope to lobby for the usage of our storage as a strategic one for the European Union, so it needs to change the regulation. So we have a transmission network that connects to the Central, Eastern, and Balkan Europe. So there are a lot of the potential to work together. We would like to kick out Russian molecules of gas and oil from Europe, and this is why we are working all over the globe to bring non-Russian origin gas, including DES LNG, to the market. We already brought a lot of this, and like Naftogaz is currently buying more than other European companies. By the way, we are drilling more than other European companies. We're also proud of this, even during the war. Recently, we brought our first LNG cargo of the year, and we are ready to bring more, which is showing this, not only European but transatlantic security. And I thanks to our Polish partner, Greece partners, who are helping us with this, and many other. We are testing different routes to provide this energy security. Key issue for us is equipment. So currently we have, for us, it's critical to mobilize more than 920 million euros to repair the essential equipment such as gas pistons, engines to produce electricity need, gas extraction compressor, etc. Some parts of it already was financed by our donors. Some of them like we will finance from our own books, but like the majority of it, like we are trying to fundraise from different sources. Thanks, like we are surviving this winter thanks to our international partners, European Investment Bank, European Bank of Reconstruction and Development, European Commission, Norwegian, the Netherlands provided some grants, Ukrainian state banks and Ukrainian budget also provided for us support just to buy more gas to Ukrainians to survive this winter, and like we are almost reached to this goal. And like really thanks to our partners, because without them, like Ukrainians cannot survive. And to finalize, like bureaucracy moves in months, but Russian missiles moves in minutes. And please continue your support at all level. Believe in us in our joint victory. We would like to have peace, and nobody want to have peace more than us. And terror and fear will not win this war. And like only two things that I would kind of ask for the Chatham House community. Please, like if you're able to advocate for your government to prioritize air defense systems that could protect people and energy infrastructure, this is like a crucial issue for us. And second, securing new and used equipment to restore the destroyed infrastructure is our key priority right now, supported through direct funds, Ukraine Energy Support Funds, IFIs, UNDP, Spark, many other like working institutions. This is critical for us, and we look forward for advancing this shared goal and agenda with you and with our partners in 2026 and beyond. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexei. I think you've outlined the storage, the transmission, the LNG you bring into the country. Maybe in the Q&A, we can also talk a little bit about Ukraine's own gas production as something
With
that could
pleasure.
make Ukraine more sustainable and self-reliant in the future. Let's just park that question because I'm very pleased that Katerina Maternova could join us. I want to use the time she's with us because I'm sure she's juggling lots of delegations and high-level meetings. Katerina became ambassador right in the midst of this horrendous war, 2023 September, and I really encourage you to also follow her on Facebook for a daily touch and update of what it is to live in the war. Ambassador, thank you so much for taking time. And I want to ask you first a few reflections of how is life in Kiev right now? How are people coping? Because I know you visit and you see a lot of communities on the left bank. When you talk to people, what do you hear from them? And also, a bit from diplomatic perspective, because I am always asked about is the settlement near, these negotiations are going on. How do you see this energy attack and terror is related to this negotiating process or not? Katerina, over to you.
Thank you very much, Orisia, and greetings to friends at Chatham House and Chatham House community. Thank you very much for inviting me. It's great to speak together with Alex Ryabchin on the panel. You asked me how the situation in Kiev is, so let me tell you a little bit about that. Also, under the impression of our meeting this morning, we had a meeting, EU ambassadors that I convened had a meeting with Mayor Klitschko, Mayor of Kiev, Vitaly Klitschko, and also yesterday, the whole diplomatic corps was invited to visit the TETS 4, the thermal power plant number 4 on the left bank that was destroyed. It was attacked already 20 times during this heating season, and the attack from Monday to Tuesday night did it. There were 5 ballistic missiles that were targeting it, and as a result, you have 1,200 homes on the left bank without heat until the end of this heating season, because there's no way that can be repaired before then. But let me backtrack and just to say, look, we all woke up to January, where from the 3rd on, there are rolling crises in the world. First was Venezuela, then Greenland, then Iran. All the time, Epstein files are something that occupies the media to a point that you really have no news about the humanitarian crisis that is unfolding in Kiev. This week, we had minus 26 degrees at night in Kiev, during the day, minus 20. And the Russians have been systematically attacking the energy infrastructure, and especially the energy infrastructure in Kiev, both the substations on the high voltage lines that bring electricity from the western part of Ukraine, as well as the Terpilska large power plant south of Kiev that was destroyed a year and a half ago, then rebuilt, destroyed again, and also the heat generating plants in Kiev. So people are literally freezing in their homes. Last week, there was a Holocaust survivor in the Podil part of Kiev that survived the Holocaust but died of hypothermia in her own apartment. And yesterday, after visiting the destroyed thermal power plant, I went to one of the invisibility points on the left bank, where you have people huddling in tents and recharging their phone batteries, their body batteries. And in fact, World Food Kitchen was dividing up Bograch to, a lot of pensioners and moms with small kids, and also kids who are not in school. Schools are closed, and you have learning online again. Because the schools cannot be heated appropriately. So people are freezing in Kiev when it's now it's not minus 20, now it's minus 10. But if you have in your home minus 8, minus 12, even minus 14, and those are the lucky ones, then it's really very difficult to live there. On Saturday, we had a complete blackout of Kiev. The metro stopped for a few hours. And so in the discussion with the mayor today, we discussed the options, scenarios. We may get into a worse situation than we are in right now. But the situation is already bad for many of my colleagues. We have had 4 major attacks starting January 9th, the last one being on Monday to Tuesday night. And if another 1 or 2 attacks like this come, the situation could be catastrophic, and we could be looking at evacuation of Kiev, which would be a whole different level of a problem. And to quote Mayor Klitschko, if you want to shoot somebody, you shoot him in the heart. So the Russians are destroying the heart of Ukraine, which is its capital city, and are doing it very systematically. And unfortunately, the busyness of the whole world means that it's not even on the front pages, let alone front pages, not even on page 3 of newspapers in the world. To a point when I wrote about it, those who follow me on Facebook would have noticed I got a personal, very ugly attack from Madame Zakharova, the spokesperson of the Russian Foreign Ministry, to which I responded. It went a little bit viral, but because it's very unpleasant for them when these news get out. So I'm delighted that Chatham House is organizing the event now. Let me just say 2-3 points in closing. One is, what do we need apart from world attention? We need here generators and in-kind equipment, cogeneration units, mobile heating stations, anything that can help people survive the winter. We are only at the beginning of February, and fine, we may get warmer temperatures in 10 days, but it can get cold again. I mean, we are still very much in the middle of the winter. We are not out of the woods. That's one. Second, I'm not going to bore you about all the stuff that the EU has been doing, obviously, since the beginning of full-scale invasion, over 3 billion into energy, for gas purchases, for equipment, for the money for the fund that buys equipment, all the logistics and transport go through the European Civil Protection Mechanism. But right now, we are very much looking at scaling up the humanitarian assistance. People do need help with food. People do need help with getting assistance and physical assistance, and the invincibility points are growing like mushrooms because that's the only place where people can go and get warm, and they're open 24 hours a day, and sometimes people spend nights there because it's just too cold to return home. And that's the second point. And my third point is, Alex mentioned decentralized energy production. Look, when this emergency situation finishes, it's going to be really urgent to work on the next heating season. And some of us and the donors have been talking about the need for decentralized energy generation for several years now. We have lost those years. I think now it's really very important that this is the route Ukraine chooses, and not in the fall, but right away in the spring when this worst weather conditions are over. And we are here to be with Ukraine. I am very proud that all of the diplomatic corps is here. Nobody has been closing and leaving. We are all here, and we will stand with Ukraine. The EU will support, but the situation is really, really dire.
Katerina, if I may, just one question before I bring it to the panel. On Ukraine's interagency coordination, if some of the participants on this call or later when they watch a video, who could they reach out? Who is the best point of contact, either on equipment or cogeneration or humanitarian assistance? What would you say?
So there is an operational center. There is an operational center that was recently created, which is co-led by the Ministry of Energy and the Ministry of Restoration. So Ministers Deputy Prime Minister Shmihal and Kuleba. And that operational center is the one that keeps the one list of equipment needs. So this is good news that there is a level of coordination. They also look into logistical issues and distribution issues, etc. But we also received a plea from Mayor Klitschko today that to speak directly to him as well, because they are the ones that are closest to the needs. And it is true that traditionally we have been trying to push a lot of the humanitarian assistance towards the east and close towards the front line. But frankly, in these weather conditions, Kiev is a frontline city. And I think that the mayor's office has also the very direct knowledge and of the immediate needs of the population.
Thank you very much. We'll try to put some of this information maybe over the video so people can concretely see some of these websites and links. Katerina, stay with us as much as you can, please. I know you're on the move. It looks like you're on the move, but I also want to bring...
I'm in the car, yes.
You're in the car. But I also want to bring now Maxim, who is really also on this energy battlefield and coming from the east. I actually don't know if you're back in Kiev or you're still in the east, but Maxim Timchenko is the chief executive of the Tech Group, which is the leading company. He leads it from 2005. I mean, the tech's infrastructure has been attacked more than 200 times. Some of its workers died, and most recently also miners that were leaving for work attacked in a minivan. So he is dealing with a lot of crisis, tragedy, and human loss. But at the same time, it's been the company on the front line of blending, crisis response and future vision for how Ukraine can generate its energy. So, Maxim, I want to ask you, given, kind of how quickly you can do these repairs in practical terms right now, and given the structure of Ukraine's energy grid, what is the tech doing to kind of continue supply and make it more resilient maybe in the near future? Over to you, Maxim.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for inviting the opportunity to be here. First of all, I'd like to pay tribute to 20 people killed and 16 injured as a result of Russian attack to our bus with coal miners. They just returning from the shift to their families, to their houses, and they will deliberately attacked by Russians. And the cynism of Russians is that the first drone attacked this bus, and when people were evacuating, and that other people were helping them. There's the second drone with optics attacked this crowd, and we lost so many people. And in 5 hours, they attacked the same place, our coal mine, and the next day they attacked it again. So today we are not talking about energy crisis. Today we're talking about humanitarian crisis and national crisis. So it cannot be narrowed that we have any problems with power stations or transmission lines. So today we are, as a country, on a survival mode. It's my strong belief in this, and based on all my knowledge. So where we are at the moment, out of 5 power stations we operate on controlled territory, only one is connected to the grid. So Russians managed to switch off 2 power stations over the last attack. So we lost about 80% of our generation capacity. Of course, we do recovering. The situation with the temperature is not helping at all. So in our machine building, without roofs and without walls, the same temperature is outside, and even those power units which we managed to restore, we cannot connect it to the grid because everything is frozen, literally, and that's extreme conditions. And I hope that we can add more capacity to the grid starting from this week, unit by unit, so that we improve situation from our side on national level, talking about big generation from our thermal power stations. But you know what we've seen with the last attack. Unfortunately, all our efforts and this recovery speed cannot be destroyed in one attack. So, and I repeat it again. Then number one is air defense protection. We need to improve it. I understand that we have huge shortage of air defense equipment and ammunition, but this is the time to make priorities and move it and to protect what exists. So today, people are asking what should be done over the next 4 to 6 weeks while we have these weather conditions. Number one, try to save what is still operational at the level of power station, meaning two factors can play. Number one, which is hard to believe, but still some hope about energy ceasefire. And I hope that this part of negotiation today in Abu Dhabi, and we speak actively with our American colleagues and give them analytics and explanation why the strong position about energy ceasefire is important. And part of our joint efforts, it was energy ceasefire for 3 days over 1 week. It's difficult to comment, but if we have energy ceasefire, then we have this so important break for us. And of course, air defense. That's what we do in work, and I understand my colleagues from Naftogaz is here, so a lot of companies asking for support for more defense. But now we need to have clear priority. What should we protect? What is, as I said, still operational or can be recovered in 1-2 weeks time? That's number one. The second, of course, emergency supplies, and what just said Ambassador, I supported. Mobile generators. This is what is important, especially for big cities and especially for Kiev. You know that Kiev became the main target over the last attacks for two weeks. We lost all our power generation. I mean, all the sources of power generation in Kiev city. Now, extremely important to protect our connection to the grid, high voltage substation, so that today's schedule of power supply we maintain. So probably most of you here in Kiev, and trust me, we do every hour to rebalance power supply between different different districts of Kiev, so that we keep people in livable conditions, especially in those regions where there is no heat supply. And after the recent attack to Darnitskaya CHP, and we expect further attacks to Kiev, we need to rebalance somehow to go through the next 4 to 6 weeks, so that when people start higher consumption of electricity because there is no heat, they don't bring so much damage that overload of our grid will bring that there is no supply of electricity. And this is basically our main problem now. Try to explain people and try to organize power supply in a way so that by such a consumption it's not destroyed completely. So you can imagine that if there is no heat, then consumption level growing 2.5 times than the situation with heat. And the more apartment blocks losing heat, and some of them will stay without heating until end of the season. And I think it's time to speak about this openly and organize in a way, either through bringing mobile generators to these districts, or rebalance supply of electricity and protect external supply of power through high voltage substation to Kiev city. This is basically what we're doing now. So that's why urgent supply of different sources of mobile power supply. This is what we need. As I said, generators, and I know that there is high consolidation of everything what exists in Ukraine, bring into Kiev. We do everything possible to connect these generators either to our substations, low voltage substation, or directly to apartment blocks. This is what we're doing here in Kiev. Of course, used equipment is extremely important, and everything what we can bring from decommissioned power stations, so from the stocks of our colleagues in Europe. This is what we are doing. I'm grateful to Greece, to Croatia, and we're bringing it right now, what they shared with us, and we're working closely with other countries where they have the same technology in power generation. New equipment. I absolutely agreed with Ambassador that we need to start thinking about next winter now. For this, we need to get funding and place orders to produce new equipment, so that we have enough time to receive it and to install it. What is important? That's why this is extremely important, and I hope our partners understand that lead time from the moment they approve financing, getting effect of this, usually 8 to 12 months. And I think that it's already fourth winter. People understand that it's not like this. You make decision about financing, and in 1 month you have transformer and connected to the grid. That's important. And of course, everything to do to build more resilient distributed generation. We're talking about starting from mobile generators and going to building large solar wind farms. So today, the fact that we decided to continue construction of 500 megawatt wind park helped us to add at least 10 turbines a month. 10 turbines, 60 megawatt of capacity we're adding every month, and it's helping a lot. So today we are in active discussions with potential partners to build 650 megawatt wind park in Poltava region, and there is a chance that we can start construction from third quarter of this year. So just for your understanding, 650 megawatt of generation can replace CHP5 or even CHP5 plus 6. This is one wind park, but it's much more resilient. So there is no way that 80 turbines or 90 turbines can be hit or destroyed, and that's our experience. That solar and wind park much more resilient, and basically during the whole war we saved the full capacity of our renewables. This is the way what we need, and we need support of our government. We need support of financial partners, financial institutions, and of course equity partners who we invite to be our partner. So basically, this is what we're doing. As I already said, critical 4 to 5 weeks. We are surviving now. There is no any other explanation. We do everything possible to keep our economy alive, especially eastern region, Zaporozhye, Dnieper, where we have large production, big consumers of power. Today, we managed to utilize cross-border capacity and import of electricity at maximum level. This is what we can do now. The issue how to bring this electricity and power from western part of Ukraine, where we have high concentration of generation as well as import coming to the lines to western region, to central and eastern. This is what we're doing together with Ukrainian. So that's probably all from my side.
I think I think you've covered a lot. It's great, and in such a nice systemic way of emergency assistance to survive, and then already plan for next heating season. Will I think now you also build a perfect bridge to bring in Olena Pavlenko, because this is exactly what I wanted her to talk about as a think tank looking at Ukraine's energy system. What are, Olena, from your perspective, 5 lessons learned for Ukraine to be better prepared, and also for Europe in a way to build its own resilience? Can Ukraine be part of that wider European energy resilience? Please share your thoughts with us, Olena. Over to you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Orisa, and many thanks to everybody who is joining the discussion today. If I may, I will start just to add a bit about the situation and why we are now in such a situation now. So when the full-scale invasion started, Russia used much less attacks, weapons against high energy infrastructure and critical infrastructure. We did have, of course, attacks at thermal power plants, transformers, auto transformers, everything, but the numbers were much less than it is now. Russia turned its economy into the war mode, you know this, in 2022, 2023, and now they are producing the numbers of drones and number of missiles, which allows to attack everything. So before, in 2022, 2023, they could kind of choose, bigger targets, let's say. Now they attack everything, and that's why Russia leaves people without electricity, without heat supply. They attack even middle-sized transformers. They attack combined heating plants. They attack everything. And at the same time, Ukraine still needs to ask to, I would say, even beg sometimes for additional air defense or protection or everything. So the gap, I would say, between what Russia is attacking and how fast we have received additional support and additional protection is increasing. So we need to make this gap much more, I would say, narrow. Now about the lessons learned, I would say, 5 of them would be the follows. First, and colleagues already said this, decentralized energy system is much more resilient. And in our case, we now need to invest into, let's say, short-term solution, decentralized generation, like generators. And as Mr. Timchenko said, in the future, it should be more sustainable, decentralized generation, which means solar, wind generation, and everything else. For the European countries, I think this is a huge lessons learned. Second is the balancing generation usually is the primary targets. And if you look what Russia attacked during the first few years was thermal power plants, hydropower plants, those that participated into the balancing of electricity system of Ukraine. Again, the huge lessons learned for other countries, and in the future, big batteries, big solutions related to storing energy might also be under attack, and we need to think now how to protect them in the future. Third, while the war was developing during all these 4 years, the type of attacks and type of weapon also was improved. And we could protect, the instruments which we could use to protect energy system in 2022 might not help now. So the lessons learned for us, for the European countries, We always have to improve our types of protection. We always have to think what new types of attacks, new types of weapon Russia might use. And probably the drones, which we could hit just with, artillery, we cannot do this now. And they are much more harmful for us right now. The fourth lessons learned, I would say, is standardization and the possibility to have stocks. If you remember a few first years, 2022, 2023, it took a lot of time to find spare parts, equipment for Ukraine, especially for Ukraine, because we have quite a system from the Soviet time, so it was not easy to find and replace fast. But lessons learned for European countries, for everybody, is to have a possibility to find and to replace the equipment very fast, which sometimes means that you should have somewhere the stocks with such equipment. And this is not just wasting your money, it's just investing in your resilience and security. And I would say that Ukraine now needs also to expand its existing stock. We do have some support, in-kind support through Energy Support Fund, but we still need additional equipment. We still need everything, transformers, auto transformers, gas turbines, everything in order to bring it fast to Ukraine. And the final fifth lessons learned is communication and work with citizens, because Russia is attacking energy system, and simultaneously it provides and does a huge disinformation campaign, saying that Ukraine simultaneously exports electricity, for example, or that we do have enough electricity from our nuclear power plants, which is just lie. And we need to have a very efficient communication with everybody to explain what is truth and what is disinformation, which is not easy to do if you have to hide a lot of data right now. So this is a fifth lessons learned. And to finish, let me just say a few more points. I would like to summarize what exactly we need right now. We need equipment and we need protection. I will repeat what our colleagues said, and I just say that this is where priorities of our partners should be right now. And protection, it means starting from the passive protection, gabions, everything what you can cover, you can cover our transformers, and finishing with air defense system. An air defense system we need for big facilities, which you cannot cover with gabions, with stones and nets. And equipment, Orisa, you were asking who could be the entry point. As Ambassador said, please go to the Ministry of Energy. They have a specific rapid response unit. They could provide with all the information what exactly is needed. Additional possibility is Energy Support Fund. And within the energy community, they also can help with all the information how support can be channeled and provided. And I will finish with two more requests, if I may, to our international partners. First, we need to find instruments and mechanism right now how Russia should pay for everything what it's done for energy sector. We cannot wait until reparations will start. We cannot wait until everything will finish. Energy is the blood of economy, and if we need to recover our economy, we need to bring back more than 20 gigawatts of generation capacity, which we have lost. This is the generation capacity of Greece. This is how much Russia destroyed. And we need to find now the solution through taxes, through punishments, I don't know through what, to take this money from Russia now, to build a new generation. And second is a possibility to bring more people to Ukraine who could help us with technical solutions. Because we have a lot of people who are mobilized, who are working on the front line. And we need technicians, we need engineers. Probably some countries can help us, in addition to equipment, to mobilize some good engineers who can help with solutions, who can consult, who can work with communities directly, for example, and it would speed up the recovery process, but also the preparation for the next winter. Thanks a lot.
Olena, thank you. What an action plan, and so succinctly. Thank you very much. Before I bring in to Gary, because I think you also make a perfect point on point 5 about people. But Gary, before I open up to you, and I know Maxim has to leave because Alexei can stay with us a bit longer. I wanted to ask you, Maxim, what is your reaction to this list that Olena has just now, so well described? Is she missing something, or you think she's spot on?
Yeah,
No worries.
absolutely support this list. And what I can add is that we should do making ticks on this list today. I perfectly understand people who so much in this crisis and in this survival, but we need to start thinking about not only next winter but in the next years in Ukraine. And I think that with all these horrible things happening with our country, we're in perfect position understanding what exactly we need, how our system works, how we deal with our clients and consumers of electricity. And that's basically what we're doing now. I just give you another example. I forgot to mention about our battery storage system, which we commissioned in September. And today, in December and January, probably none of battery energy system of industrial scale operating as this system is operating now, because it's in such a high demand and brings so much to resistance of the grid that we need to invest more in this system. So we understand how new design of energy power generation mix and the whole energy structure should be done in Ukraine. And I'm staying with my strong position that when we rebuild or rather build new energy system, it will be one of the most technological, resilient, one of the most digitalized, and it will be benchmark for many other countries. And our partner, especially from Europe, should understand that Ukraine will play extremely important role, not only in defense, in national security of the whole continent, but also in energy security. And as we all understand, especially now, that they're very much connected to each other. There is no talks about national security without energy.
Yeah, you're right. And there's a lot of kind of curiosity, I would say, in the West about the changing nature of war in terms of electronic warfare. But people also have to understand that there is a new total war that is waged thanks to capabilities, because of capabilities, and because of intentions of such aggressive nations and Russia. And understanding this new energy, critical infrastructure war front is equally important than airspace and land that Ukraine is also trying to defend. I know you have to run, so feel free. Thank you so much for taking time. I know how busy you are. I think Alexei is still able to stay with us, so I will bring you Alexei after Gary. Take good care of yourself and your company and stay well, safe, most important. Gary, you've heard a lot of expert discussion, and you yourself, you told me, understand energy because of your background in engineering. But I want you here to focus on humans supporting Ukrainians in these dire conditions. I mean, your foundation is providing also food, is providing a lot of hot meals to people in need. But also, you know, your volunteers, younger volunteers, work with older people to build this solidarity, that people do not feel lonely. And at times of humanitarian difficulty, perhaps even disaster, as Katerina was describing, what can entrepreneurs, philanthropists in Ukraine, who are in Ukraine, do today? Where do you see a real need and niche? What you can contribute?
First of all, I support my colleagues. I am professional energy engineer. And today my goal, another one, is to support all the people. And my fund, now we are biggest, maybe biggest initiative who support dedicated to people aged 50 plus. And our biggest problem today is to feed these people, because it's a big problem to catch some hot meal. when Russia isn't fighting war just with missiles. It's make a weapon from temperature, darkness, and hunger. And now we are feed in Kiev, just in Kiev, not now, more than 10 years. Each day we feed 1,500 people. But our possibility, we have a enough logistic for that kitchen and volunteers, more than 5,000 volunteers.
Oh.
Yeah, it's more than, it's a big community. We support 8 regions, 100, maybe 140, 150 communities. And we can feed today 5, 6,000 people. But our message very simple: that cup of coffee is cost in London, in Europe, 5 euro, and for the same money, we can cook full meal for 2 people. And we already have, I told that we have enough logistic, but we don't have enough funding. We don't work with government money, with the budget, because now budget goes to air defense and army. But we have to feed 1,000 people daily. We are not complaining. Kiev is a strong city, but it's a little bit extreme cold, constant air raid, and alerts, and it's made a normal life very difficult.
But I wanted to ask you, because you also work with internally displaced people, people who fled from the east. A lot of them came to Kiev because it is a big city. There are jobs. And if Katerina was talking about the possible evacuation again of people from Kiev, I mean, we could have a kind of emergency plan. Would you have some advice from your experience with the wave of those people who you tried to help to resettle? How could that? How can private and public partnership help in such situation?
Our authority not ready to leave their home.
Okay.
No, no terms, no possibility.
You think people will stay in cold and be
Yeah,
in their
they
homes?
stay out, yeah.
So what you are saying is better to make sure you can provide them meals, places for where they can warm up. But I also know that, you have a big dream house and real estate. Can companies who have real estate also open up and create some spaces?
We have enough in our district in Obolon. It's a big one of the biggest district in Kiev. We have enough places to warm up, to everything in my business, in another businesses. We are we are ready. I suppose that we are ready, but my fund, it's a private initiative.
Yep.
And we need some support, some help.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting, if there are any people from big aid agencies, because there's the whole sector of humanitarian relief organizations, and maybe what should be happening in Ukraine is more coordination between private philanthropists and private foundations like yours and international aid agencies who may have some resources which you can more efficiently and cost effectively use by using local staff to prepare these meals and to have these spaces for people.
It'll be great.
It would be great. Okay, so if
we are
there's
looking for this cooperation for
Yeah,
sure.
it's called Enjoy Live GT Loop Foundation, to which you can find, or you can email us. We are happy to connect, because I think there's a lot of discussion about localization of assistance, so that we don't bring international organizations every time there's a crisis, but we use local partners like yours, who have 5,000 volunteers who can actually feed people and expand capacity if there's funding. So I'm really grateful that you found time to join, and you stay with us. I'll see if there anybody has a specific question. So I do not see many questions in chat, but I know also that Olena has to leave. But I want to Alexei to react also, to bring it back a little bit to the future of preparing for the next winter. What is your what were your thoughts on these 5 points that Olena said, and would you have anything else to add?
Of course, Arisia, first of all, like there is not much question in chat because I answered already 5 of them. So
Okay.
trying to combine. So like as you asked me to do, Olena, please also help me to speak with people, like to reflect the question that you raised in the very beginning. Our first job is to extract more gas, oil, do the energy transition according to all of the like requirement to bring more like sustainable energy to Ukrainian people, even during the war. Like nobody, like canceled this EU obligation. And of course, like we have a trader activity, as we told, like we procured more than like more than everybody, like we know, but nevertheless, the main activity which bring us taxes, which bring a job, is like the gas extraction. So we are working together with, for example, this famous Ukraine-US investment fund that was created according to the agreement by the President Trump and President Zelensky. It's really worked. Yesterday, we had a conversation with the DFC colleagues who came here. We applied several projects, and we do hope that some of them might be funded also with the private initiative to bring Ukrainians more resources, not to spend money abroad, because it's like much more effective. So we are developing even during the war, and it's really hard to like. And for me, and now I'm doing a lot of self-censorship, because like I cannot speak a lot about such great stuff that we are doing. Because like we tested this assumption that like when we report about any positive improvement or like any cooperation, Russia destroys our facilities or hits the spot. So like I'm limited in something, not because I don't want to disclose. No, it's my job as the manager for the public company to report. But like during the war, it's really hard and complicated, and this is why like there is a vicious circle. Like we need to report and speak with the foreign audience, analytics center, general population, in order for them to make a public opinion into support of Ukraine, for the politician to make the decision to support Ukraine, to allocate more funds toward our needs. But like, how can I speak like if the next day like Russian missiles will hit my facility? So this is like a really vicious circle, and like I do support like what Elena have said. I know Elena is doing a tremendous, fantastic job, and this is like a really interesting stuff how we are surviving. We have a lot of interesting know-how, not only in military sphere but also in the sphere of government to public cooperation, when the civil society activists, think tanks, NGOs combined with the government in order to survive, to be better coordinated, to have like better advice. This is what we see how like different ministries do. So this is also needs to be supported. Also, I would like to set what Gary have said. There are a lot of business people who are doing the charity foundation because because we feel we ought to do this. Like we as a public company now, we also do not publicize it, but like our people currently like in a shelters right now, like the Naftogaz employees are like literally packing like more than 50,000, if I'm not mistaken, 40 and 50,000 warm packages, which we supply for the people who left without the heat in Kiev, in different regions of Kiev, in Borispol, in Brovary region. So like basically delivering some basic, I don't know, like blanket, heaters, I don't know, like scarves, like whatever, like for people, because they're left out of cold. And like managers of the company not doing their own activity, but like just like helping people, because like we have the resources and we're able to do this. And like also when you think Yeah, we're also freezing out. I also have like problem with the temperature in my office and even in my home. But like when you think about the soldiers and my friends in trenches who are now in this, and okay, we have electricity for 2 or 3 hours in Kiev. We will survive definitely. It's tough. I remember my early 90s. I'm from Donetsk. Believe me, we had even tougher times in early 90s there without the heat and electricity. But like when you think about soldiers or people at the front line, this is like where my thoughts are. So yeah, it will be hard, but we will survive. And as Maxim and Elena and Katerina said, we will recover. We will make it better. We'll build back better. Energy system will become a member of European Union. Definitely strong country with a strong people able to give lots of issues and bonuses to our friends and partners in European Union and abroad.
Well, I have you here, Alexei. There was a specific question on the gas. There was how much BCM is needed for 2026. What are your projections?
As I told you, I see Denise, who's a
Yeah.
really great expert. Like I cannot disclose a lot of
Okay.
sensitive information, which is typically we need to report. But like there are, like it depends. Like it depends from a lot of scenarios. We have them, like we're discussing them with our respective donors, and this is like we have a second question about corruption. This is how we are dealing with this issue. Like when we receive some money from the European Investment Bank, from EBRD, from donors, we report a very cent spent. We procure gas on European platform, which is on a transparent basis. We report every single week on the average prices on everything because we don't want to lose trust to our partners. And like Ukraine will be energy deficit country in gas for sure. And after the end of the war, and I do believe now after our victory, the industry will grow up and will start consuming more. So we need to work on energy efficiency, on energy transition, and also like we have a really great Black Sea deposit, which I do believe will change the European landscape. There are Romanians who found a great deposit and working on it, Turks, and like we are close in proximity towards this, and we are also doing this job. I do believe that this is a very interesting solution to substitute Russian molecules. And this and many other projects that Naftogaz is currently doing, even during the war, which I unfortunately cannot disclose.
Thank you, Alexei. I think it's not visible publicly when you answer to a specific person, but thank you for voicing it out. And there's a question that Olena would like to take from Rani that is about Russian intentions, right? From an international relations perspective, how should we understand Russia's targeting of Ukraine's energy infrastructure, primarily as a military strategy or coercive tool or part of a broader political signaling, Olena?
If those who are following the war situation in Ukraine, yes, what is happening on the front line and how Russia treats Ukrainians. You probably know that Russians they do not follow any rules and they do not follow any how to say. Even unofficial rules, how you treat your enemy, or you have in prisoners, how you treat your prisoners. So Russia, the goal of Russia is to threaten, kill, and through that expect that your enemy or the country or people will just be broken. That's what they are doing inside Russia when they broke people who disagree with regime. They say that the same they are trying to do with Ukraine. And they did this in last centuries. They are doing this for 400 years, I have to say. So this is part of the attempts to break Ukrainians. This is part of the attempts to threaten Ukrainians and to show that they will be in a very survival mode, that no one will save them, that they will disappear, that they do not exist, and through that actually agree on what Russia wants. This is a very cultural thing, I have to say. This is something which Ukrainians and I think Balkan states very well know and understand. It's not new for us, and still very hard to understand for the developed countries who really just cannot imagine such way of thinking, such way of culture. But issue is here that what Russia expects might happen with Ukrainians and that they will be broken usually has quite opposite reaction. Ukrainians now, if you talk to people in Kiev, they are super angry. They are super, I don't know, absolutely angry and mad at Russia. So there is no broken Ukrainians. There are mad Ukrainians, which are even more dangerous, I would say, in such situations. So that, maybe to answer your question, this is something which Russia always did and is trying to do with everyone who it wants to conquer. And it's part of the broader strategy, of course. It's part of the broader negotiations process, because if Russia destroys Kiev, it's a symbol of Ukraine, right? Russia expects that probably the negotiations process will be more favorable for Russia. Absolutely not what is happens in Kiev now. Ukrainians are just more mad, ready to fight, and just want to kill more Russians.
Gary, because you talk to a lot of people and it's interesting. How do you see Ukrainian anger is metamorphosing, if I may say? Because just to be angry, as Olena said, it's not enough to survive and to. How do you sustain hope? Probably is my question. What gives Ukraine hope in these horrible, cold, and dark times? You're muted. You have to unmute. You're muted. Yes.
Yeah, unmute.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe it's a character, maybe it's a nationality, I don't know. But we are stable, we are in good humor, with a good mood. Nobody told that it's a catastrophe, but it's a humanitarian, really catastrophe. But we are ready. We are like told Alana, we are ready to fight, and we are stable and with a good mood.
And do you feel support from local authorities or cities where you either present or like when you work in Kiev, do you cooperate with local councils in the areas or you just do it on your own and then they come over?
We are cooperating with our donors. It's from Ukraine and from abroad, and also private companies. But we don't have cooperation with the government, with the budget.
Okay.
With
Yeah, no, I understand,
with
but I
the
was thinking sometimes this crisis reminds COVID hubs. You remember when the pandemic started, there was always cooperation between local emergencies, businesses who had resources to buy kits, and then volunteers who were helping the community. Do you see this kind of hub cooperation?
Yes, sure.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know because the tasks are quite big, and we all hear how many buildings do not have heating. 1,200 we've heard today. But what does it mean in terms of people? It's actually quite a lot of people when you think that these buildings are 15, 20 floors. It's not small, a small apartment or housings. Olena, there was also one question to you about diesel and fueling of nuclear power station supplies. What is the current risk assessment concerning the replenishment of emergency diesel stock for Ukrainian nuclear power plants? Do you have that information? Can you tell us?
I cannot answer specifically that question. I believe this is something which is classified. But I can provide a bit more information on the nuclear power plants and specifically why and how Russia is targeting nuclear power plants. As you know, we still rely very heavily on generation from nuclear power plants because Russia, as of now, doesn't dare to attack power plants themselves, but it attacks the infrastructure around. It attacks all the transformers, substations around nuclear power plants, and with that, actually, it makes the nuclear power plants to work in a much, I would say, dangerous regime because they have to decrease the generation and then it takes time to come back to the normal mode. And those power plants which Ukraine does have, some power plants in some countries, I think in France, they can balance, they can be more flexible. Ukrainian nuclear power plants, it's hard to make them really flexible and respond to such things. So this is also a kind of threat for us and for the stability of the energy system. As far as I know, Ukrainian government and the Ministry of Energy requested many times to the International Atomic Energy Agency, IAEA, asking to make sure that all such Russians' attacks are well documented and punish somehow Russia through the IAEA mechanism, because IAEA is actually designed to make sure that there is safety in the nuclear sector in the world. I don't know whether IAEA really was at such sites, but so far we do not see any real huge support from this organization to keep our sector safe. And what we would like to request that IAEA first should publicly respond to all the violations which Russia is doing in nuclear sector of Ukraine. And it's not only just sitting in the Zaporizhia nuclear power plants and monitoring, but also respond to such violations which Russia does with other nuclear power plants. Second, there should be a replacement of those Russians who are at the IAEA at the highest positions, because they can impact the decision-making process. So we should, and I think we do demand replacement of such people. And third, probably there should be changes into the charter of such organization if it cannot do anything to make sure that the nuclear sector works safely. Probably something wrong with the operations and rules of such organization. As far as I know, Ukrainian side requested already to changes to the treaty of such organization.
Thank you, Elena. I just want to also plug in what Dixie Group does. I don't know if you do it in English, the weekly review of the energy dimension of the Russian aggression of Ukraine. I mean, I found it on your website very useful from time to time. It gives a very good overview of internal policies that are in making, but also external assistance. So is that available in English, Elena, or people can do Google Translate, I guess, as well, but...
Yes, absolutely. It is available in English.
Okay.
I have to say that we started to do such newsletters at the third day of full-scale invasion, and we did this every daily basis for the first year. Then we moved to weekly. We are grateful to our donors who help us to do this. And yes, if you want, please, this is for free. You can go to the website, sign up, and you will receive it in English or Ukrainian version every week.
Yes, thanks a lot. I know that we have to wrap up because Lana has to leave and Gary has his show in Dnipro. Alexei is also already on the move in the car. So look, I want to thank you first of all, the speakers who found the time. It was a lot of juggling, but really thank you so much. We hope that this was practical, but also strategic. This is always my goal. We understand that the presence is, horrible, but in this darkness and hell, perhaps the future is born. Ukraine is fighting the war for the future. Russia is fighting the war for the past, which it cannot win. It is very clear. But I think it's supporting the innovators, the philanthropists, the visionaries in the industry and in the states that Ukraine can really make a difference for its future and for the same matter to make Europe more secure and build deterrence in military way and protection in energy way. So I really want to thank you for your contributions, for your hard work, to thank all the participants, and just to do a small plug-in of our future events. On the 23rd of February, we will have Ambassador Zaluzhny speaking to mark the 5th year of Russia's invasion of Ukraine here in Chatham House. It also will be live streamed, so you can watch it. And in March, at part of our Climate and Energy Summit, we will have a dedicated energy roundtable, looking at the lessons learned and the new geopolitical environment and how energy sector should adapt to it. Hopefully, that will be very interesting, and it's co-supported by Oakland Energy, Oakland Consultancy, and Octopus Energy. So thank you very much. There will be a recording. Stay safe and keep in touch with the Ukraine Forum in Chatham House. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.